right, everybody. Welcome to 2-Bit SoCon Morning Edition. We're on take 4 here. Jack has already frozen once. Taylor is seeing 2 of me.
Yep.
And somehow we're recording right now, so we are just going to run with it while we can. Jack, Taylor, how you guys doing?
Doing good. It's a freezing Friday morning, but I'm ready to talk some SoCon hoops.
Jack?
Wonderful. I love life. Oh, wait. Peep. I'm going to act like this is totally a thing I'm doing every episode.
Oh.
David Jean Baptiste.
We're dancing. Dang.
We're dancing.
That's sick.
I'm going to be positive about Furman today, but I had to bring back some PTSD. I'm going to act like I got one of these for every show, but we're 2 shows into me doing this, and I'm out. So
yeah.
If any SIDs out there are listening, or, members of some staffs, I can give you my address. You can send me some nice swag.
Shameful begging live on the podcast. It's crazy work.
Please.
He actually just needs clothes on his back.
Please, this is way too small.
So yeah, Jack just mentioned we are going to show Furman some love today. Big win over Florida Gulf Coast. We're also going to talk Wofford getting back on track at home. UNC Greensboro with a surprising victory over High Point. Chattanooga's lost to Lipscomb, and ETSU's lost to James Madison. Jack, you seem excited about Furman, so I might let you just go ahead here.
Sure. I mean, I'm the Furman hater, just like I was the Sanford hater last year. But yeah, no, I've watched them here recently, and I've kind of I'm impressed, and I'm trying to think how I want to put this. I'm impressed while also still feeling the same. I'm sorry, I just want to be cautious about it.
Oh.
Like, the win over FGCU, great win, but it's 3-6 FGCU. They don't have a ton of, they have a bunch of good wins, but they don't have a bunch of that's they've arrived wins to me. But they do play Princeton, I believe, on Saturday. That is, if they go out there and, beat Princeton, I will feel really good about them. But ultimately, I think my thoughts revolve around just how balanced they can be. They kind of give me, what I thought preseason was that they just had a collection of a bunch of good players. Didn't know if there was really a star there, though, which I kind of think is starting to slowly be disproved that you always need a star. I just think in basketball in general. But, late game, takeover time, who do you got? But in saying that, P.J. Smith has been great. And I think the lineup of P.J. Smith, Nick Anderson, Bronson, Johnson, and Bowser is about as good as it gets, just from a balance perspective to me. I really love Johnson and Bowser paired together. I just think they kind of complement each other's games well. And I've really been impressed with Bronson too. And I'm sorry, it's not just the haircut, but he does kind of give me some JP McGee's vibes in just his play style. Not that he's even nearly as productive as McGee's was. And, shout out, by the way, rest in peace, JP McGee's. It's tough watching him get just sent to the bench. I have a whole bunch of transfers I wanted to mention today.
You got sold a dream, man.
Yeah, I'm getting off topic, but by the way, he gives me such Malachi Smith vibes from Chattanooga a few years back, where it's this guy clearly is a high major player. And Smith, I think, even worse. Smith went to a place where they had multiple 5-star freshmen about to, that had been there that were set to arrive the next year and be good players. And he was on the bench all year. Pegues is just in a position where if he's not money, he's immediately benched. I hate it for him. But anyway, back to Furman. I do think I think they're very well rounded, and I'm cautiously optimistic still. Sorry about it. I still am. I'm excited to see them play Princeton on Saturday, and then as we get into conference play, I do think they just play good basketball, and they seem to be I don't want to say more of a team. That's so cliche than last year's team, but they definitely are all more towards one common goal than I think last year's team was.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the lineup thing, because I was gonna say the same thing, but with Heen instead of Bowser, because I think Heen's had a good start to the year, and I just think having Heen on the floor gives you more shooting than with Bowser. But I still like Bowser, obviously, as a lob threat and things like that, and defensively. But having both Johnson and Heen on the floor with Bronson and Smith and Anderson is 5 guys on the floor that can shoot the three, like, whenever you need it. So I love the versatility of that lineup. I kind of want to get into what went into this win for them. So down 11 at the half, they cut it to 5 multiple times. The lead kept getting back up to 10, 11, whatever it was. And then Bob Ritchie put the press on. And whether it was Garrett Heen or Cooper Bowser at the front of that press, like, it was giving Florida Gulf Coast problems. So they're down 8 with 5 to go. Johnson gets an offensive rebound and lays it in. Furman forces a turnover, and Smith makes the layup. And then Anderson tips the inbound pass, and Smith drills the 3 to cut it to 1. They go back and forth for a couple minutes. PJ Smith steps out of bounds on the inbound to make it a 4-point game. And then Nick Anderson pulls the 98 finals Michael Jordan, just doesn't clear out from the weak side, sneaks around and steals the ball, hits both free throws, goes to 3, and then Florida Gulf Coast airballs the shot to tie the game. I mean, it was just a gritty, gutsy win for them. And, you did say that Florida Gulf Coast isn't a great team, but this is their 4th road win. And I'm sure you guys saw, it was on Twitter a little bit, but they won 4 road games last year total. One of those was Coastal Carolina, who didn't know who their coach was. He was going to retire. He wasn't. 2 came against VMI and the Citadel. And the other was the ETSU game that almost broke that Furman team. So, I mean, this is a huge, huge step up for them compared to last year. And they're just a way more connected group, and that gives them the ability to win these tough road games. Taylor, what did you think?
Like Jack said, it's kind of a cliche, and we touched on it last episode. They just looked like more of a coherent team. Last year, that potential was through the roof, but it was a lot of ISO ball and chucking up threes, and that was their downfall. And this year, they're just more well-rounded. Last game, you had Smith with 18, Anderson with 10, Heen with 8, just kind of spread out everywhere. And I've liked what I've seen from Heen this year. I think you need like a center like that who can score, rebound. He's averaging 8 and 6 and 3.5 assists a game, also averaging a steal and 31% from 3, which isn't great, but that shows he has the potential to step back there and shoot it. So they just look more well-rounded, and all those guys serve a role. Bowser at 6 and 5 also. So you got everybody on the floor is like serving a purpose, and it is kind of cliche, but that's the kind of team that's going to do damage come conference play. And even against Kansas, the final score was bad, but they were in the first half only down at 11 at half, and it was close to start. But they're definitely a more well-rounded team, and I'm surprised as I picked them, I think 5th to finish the conference on how they started so far.
And let me say this too, I feel like I always unintentionally hate on Garrett Heen, or I just think Bowser's ceiling is higher just because of the defender he is, and if you surround 4 shooters with him, like, I do think that he can be a ceiling raiser just because of that. So sorry, Garrett Heen, you're playing great basketball right now. I just, there's just like, it's like that picture of the guy with his girl, like, got Garrett Heen here and he's looking back.
Oh yeah, he's looking.
It's Cooper Bowser right there. That's me right now. That's always going to be me because of ceiling. And second, I do want to shout out. I shout out JP McGee's, maybe a negative shout out. It is funny. This is for the Furman people who have been familiar with the program, because Marcus Foster, he's at least getting to play through struggles. Like, he hasn't been great, but he's getting to play a lot. I don't think Alex Williams has played yet, but Carter Witt's balling at Belmont.
He is.
He had like a triple double, or he had like 10, 8, and 9 the other night in a game winner, and then another. This is like in a deep bag of Furman people is Joe Anderson at Lipscomb is balling. I never thought that Joe Anderson would be.
Yeah.
I thought he would be a good player, but he's like a really
Yeah.
good player right now for Lipscomb. So shout out the Furman transfers that are playing really well. And it's funny that it isn't the guys that played well at Furman right
Yeah.
now. It's the guys who barely could see the court or struggled at times.
One more thing on Furman, we talked about the lineups with Bronson and Bowser, closing the game for them. I thought Ben Vanderwall played a great game on against Florida Gulf Coast. Like, you won't see it in the stat sheet, but I mean, he was running the floor hard. He was an effective defender. He came up with that huge block down the stretch on the chase down, and he hit open shots when they came to him. And it was just a great game starring in his role. So it was super impressive to see them get that win. We'll actually move now to Joe Anderson. I'm going to read you guys the stats from Lipscomb's win over Belmont, just from the Lipscomb starting lineup.
He did cook them, didn't he? I forget about that. Yeah.
The entire Lipscomb starting lineup cooked them. So, Ognacevic goes 6 for 9 for 16. Joe Anderson goes 7 for 12 for 16. Will Pruitt goes 7 of 12 for 15. Powell goes 6 of 14 for 15. And Faulkner goes 5 of 5 for 14. There's one guy in the starting lineup under 50% from the field. They shot 58% from the field as a team and 47% from three. Lipscomb can be a scary team for somebody in the NCAA tournament. I will say that. For Chattanooga, Bash Whelan, the only guy in double figures, an impressive 19 of 14 for 21. And then Huff goes 2 for 8 for 4 points, and Bonham goes 3 for 6 for 8 points. I do want to say, as if Honor Huff was having a hard enough start to the season with his shooting rhythm, it just hasn't fallen for him yet. Now he's got a broken nose and he's wearing a mask. And ask any player that's not Miami LeBron or Prime Kobe, and they hate the mask. Like it just throws them off, and it's awful to play with. So it's just not been the start to the year that he dreamt of. And then Frank Champion made his debut. And he looked pretty good, but you could see just a little bit of the rust. He was able to kind of get to the rim when he wanted to, but when he got there, he just had a tough time finishing. So, I expect things like that to come back for him over time and with reps. But overall, just not a pretty game from Chattanooga the other day. Taylor, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was a good first half, and it was, 34-31 at halftime. I was excited for, like, a close matchup, but, man, they just killed us in the second half. You could tell that was a team who has 9 returning players, and we're a team full of transfers who's not fully healthy yet. And Frank Champion, I was impressed. I was glad he made a 3 near the end because, to your point, he got to the rim, and those boys were just going in and out. So they were good looks. And Whelan, I liked his scoring, 21 points with a couple threes, couple mid-range, even had a nice turnaround bank shot. So he was able to score kind of a little bit of everything. I wish Kiesler shot the ball a little more and better that game. I looked for him to be more with Bonham and Huff struggling kind of. But Huff I'm not too worried about because he shot, I think, was shooting 34% from 3 going into last year or going into conference play last year, and then all of a sudden started popping off. So I think once the mask comes off, they'll find it eventually. And because I've never used a mask, but man, I can't imagine shooting with that thing on. But and then Bonham, was 3 of 6, so he wasn't inefficient. I think he'll pick it up because he had 28 in the game before that. So yeah, I just think they need to get healthy because Noah Melson being out, and they just haven't had one full game with their full roster. Mulholland has continued to look good too. He had a couple of nice post moves as well, made his free throws, and yeah, so I'm not too worried. It was a rough game, but Lipscomb is a good team to your point, and I can see them, if they make the tournament, knocking off a team with that experience.
Jack, you seem excited about Chattanooga.
I just started laughing in my head whenever he says Mulholland. Just made me think Mulholland might have the the worst vertical in the history of sports, dude. Every time he takes, like, and no offense, like, I think he's a good player, but man, every post he takes, he gets like 1 inch off the ground. It makes me laugh. Anyway, I think he's a good player, but that just like popped in my head right in the middle. That was just a flashback of watching him shoot a post and get sent the other night, and I don't know. That's anyway. I don't know how I feel about him. I'm kind of mixed feelings. Like, I saw someone say this the other day, and apologies for not remembering who said this, but they are a little bit giving me Furman from last year vibes. Partially in the injury department, but I do think they're hopefully starting to get healthy. Cusano and Melson, neither of those were billed to be crazy injuries, or at least from what I've seen, like, doesn't sound like they're going to be things that are keeping them out long. But even when healthy, I almost think there's, just with so many new faces and so many mouths to feed, I do kind of feel slightly worried about him. Not crazy to a point, but just that I think a lot of guys are still figuring it out together, and maybe it becomes something that they figure out late in the year, or maybe it also becomes something where, like Furman was last year, where they never really figured it out, but we still felt all the way to the very end of the season that they could, be that type of team. I'm slightly worried about Huff and Bonham. I think Bonham started to look a lot better. Huff is still concerning, and there's always that looming ETSU game from last year where they were kind of really exposed just for their size, that I still think in SoCon play could come back to bite them if other teams try to replicate that. Champion didn't play great in his first game, but I was really impressed with him just from a eye test standpoint. I could clearly see the highlight tape of what he did at North Georgia out there, just his athleticism, ability to get to the rim. But I also thought his jumper looked really good. Even though he wasn't making a lot, I think that's an easy thing to see a lot of times if a jumper's translatable, where I think his is, and I think on the, beside him over there, Garrison Kiesler, I don't think his jumper's translatable. I think his jumper is way too slow, and that kind of limits him, even though I think he's a great player. Like, I think he's a very solid all-around player, a little bit like Ben Vanderwall is at Furman, where I think he's a great player at everything, but the shot just isn't there and it's too slow. I feel that a little bit with Kiesler. I just don't know that his jumper, he can't get it off in any, without having a ton of space. So in saying that, that's all to say that I thought Champion's jumper was clearly a translatable thing and looked good, and I'm cautiously optimistic about him, while also being worried about Huff and Bonham a little bit and just kind of the meshing of the whole team.
Yeah, I wonder, like, lineup-wise, where Dan Earl goes with, Champion kind of coming back into the fold, because I would assume that he's going to start. And it's hard to take.
He's gotta. It's
you can't
clear.
take.
Yeah, it's clear.
You can't take Whelan out of that because he's been their best player so far this season. So I think it would be Kiesler, to be honest with you, and that might be kind of a good thing for him to play kind of that Whelan role, but with the second unit or with some of those other lineups. So we'll see where he goes from there, and then it's still the big spot. Like, you joke about the athleticism of Mulholland, but I really wonder where the solution will come from for them, down inside.
Let me also say, I think Mekhi Richards.
Dude, he's great.
He's really
He
strong.
looked really good.
I really didn't.
He was really good.
I wasn't expecting anything from him, and even early in the year, I kind of thought, I can't remember what game it was. He had like 19. I thought it was a little bit
St.
fluky.
Mary's,
St. Mary's, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man,
I know. I
looks
thought the
great.
same thing.
Dude.
And he seems to know what he can do too. Like, I don't think he tries to do too much out of his game. He's been a pleasant surprise for me just for their roster standpoint. Yeah, I think he really buys into everything they do and kind of knows the player he is. So yeah, in saying that about Mulholland, I think Richard just looked like a really solid player and good depth piece for sure if those guys struggle, and I think he'll play regardless.
I texted a friend after that St. Mary's game that Richards looked like Duke Jalil Okafor in that game. And I was like, that's high praise. Like,
That's
Duke
a good way to put
Okafor
it.
was a problem.
He was going to be the next big thing.
He got left behind.
Yep.
Taylor,
Yep.
we'll let you talk about your preseason favorite now. Back at home, finding the groove, 2 20-point wins. Wofford, what do you think?
That's what I talked about. I said that was why it was on their wish list. They had to go back home. To your point, 20-point win over North Alabama. That was just a good game. Their big three, Tripp, Bailey, and Filowich, all in double figures. Tripp in his last 2 games has started to be more efficient. Still not shooting the ball as much as I want him to, but at the end of the day, they still won those 2 games pretty convincingly. And these are the kind of games that can really turn a season around. Filowich has played well, and he's shooting 50% from the free throw line the last 2 games at a solid 2 of 4. So that's an improvement, I guess. But yeah, they've looked good. And Gardner-Webb both teams are kind of decent. Gardner-Webb, I think, was 4-4 going into it. So by no means a powerhouse, but it's a solid win. And Filowich had a near double-double, and Tripp had 14 on 6 of 11 shooting. And they just look like the team, like they're playing like with their not like all the guys that came back. Like, sorry, I'm not saying that very well. They're spreading out. They're spreading the love. I guess what I'm trying to say. They had 3 double-figure guys off the bench last game too, which is they showed their depth, and so 88 points. And we'll see. Interesting to see with these wins where they go from here.
Look, man,
Because sometimes that's why I said
shot.
all it needs is a home.
True. Shot 50% from 3 against Gardner-Webb and had 23 assists.
Mm-hmm.
That is spreading the love for sure.
That'll win you games.
And I gotta say, I see the Luke Flynn vision. I do.
Yeah.
Dude, the hater. Look, do I like Luke Flynn to close games for me? Not at this stage in his career.
That's my thing.
Do I like Luke Flynn to be like supplemental point guard minutes for Tripp or Bailey or whoever it is? Absolutely. I think he has the potential to be a winning player. He's got a high IQ. He's got a knack for where the ball is going. He doesn't turn it over. I think he can be a guy that plays 15, 18 minutes for, a contending team. And I'm going to stand by that no matter what Jack says.
That was my main gripe. Was he was playing in the last 2 minutes of a close game.
Does not need to be close.
Over Dylan Bailey, and I was like, why? Why are we not playing our best 5? That's my main gripe with him. Because, I can see that he could be a good player for sure.
Lorenz too, 16 points off the bench. He had a great game, hitting a couple threes as well. He's looked pretty solid, I would say. And Flynn had 10 points.
Lorenz has really just been kind of hit or miss, to be honest. Like, his good games are really, really good, and his bad games are, I don't want to say he's unplayable, but, he's not effective.
He's like a gazelle out there.
Yeah.
He's just kind of, just like a little, he's like Bambi, a little baby deer out there sometimes.
He reminds you of Demetrius Davis at all?
He's still figuring it out.
I can see it.
Tell. I think he had a very rough go at it his freshman year, being hurt for a long time and kind of being thrown back into the fire. I think he'll figure it out. Maybe not this year, but I think eventually he's going to become a real good player.
He just kind of looks like he went to bed one night and was like 6 foot and woke up the next day and was 6'8" and was like, what do I do?
Great point.
We'll get now to maybe the best win of the week so far. UNC Greensboro taking down Big South preseason favorite High Point. And my biggest point has nothing to do with basketball. Play on campus. Play your games on campus. Don't outsource. Make it easy for everyone to come and sell out a smaller arena than, playing in a bigger arena that you can only get 5,000 people in, and then it just looks completely empty. Like, it's kind of the same thing with, like, Chattanooga football. Like, they've been close to the FCS playoff the last, 4 years now, and they can't sell out a home game
nobody comes to the game.
Because they're, 5 miles off campus, and it's hard for people to get there. I mean, I know Terrell Owens made things hard 30 years ago, however long it was, but T.O.'s gone. Just You have Chamberlain Field there. Just build something right there. I don't know. That's just my take. But the energy of that game for UNCG was just so cool to see because it looked like it was just a packed out stadium and it was loud and it was just cool to see compared to last year when they played at the Coliseum. Like even their biggest games, like when Chattanooga came to town and the 2 seed was on the line, it looked like empty and they got blown out. So I mean, it's something to be said for playing your games where your students and other people can get there easily. I also want to talk about Miles Jones' poster dunk. Did anybody see that? Oh
Yes.
my god. he boomed on a guy. It was pretty interesting to see.
I did like triple take. I
Yeah,
was like,
that
what?
blew my mind.
Dang.
No polite in this one. So Kenyon Giles really stepped up again offensively. Hit some big shots down the stretch for them. And Saizonu stepped into that starting role flawlessly. Like, he was active defensively, doing everything he could, scored the ball. Like, I really like to see that from him. And if he can bring that to them off the bench, they'll have something to talk about. But yeah, it was just a very interesting game to see. And Mike Jones is doing some experimenting with the wing spot. He started Muon Reith, and then Miles Jones got the majority of the minutes. So, and then you also have Demetrius Davis. So that'll be something to figure out for them. But big time win for UNCG. Taylor?
Mm-hmm. I've been really impressed with Giles this year because one of the things I said preseason is they don't have a bad team, but they didn't look like they had a clear-cut number one guy. And so for him to come out, shoot 21 times, make 11 of them, 25 points, like you said, hit some big shots down the stretch. He's been great this season, shooting 41% from three, 16 points. And then also Jalen Brett's been playing really well, had 16 and 10. And then in a game where Atwell only had 6 points and 2 of 8 shooting for Salzano to have 15 points in the starting lineup, hitting a couple threes, huge. And those are kind of games they would win in conference play too. And that was very impressive for sure.
Yeah, they still shot 28% from three. So, I mean, defensively,
Yeah.
super impressive to get that win. Jack, you have any thoughts on that one?
No, I didn't get to watch, so I want to speak if I'm uninformed. But I do completely back the play on campus take. Their arena has been awful ever since I've been watching SoCon basketball. Like, they never have any fans there. And that's a whole college basketball take for me. Like, people make too big arenas. Like Lipscomb, Belmont, here in Nashville. I can think like their arenas are perfect.
Lipscomb.
Oh, those are perfect.
Where you can pack it out in there. It just echoes off the ceiling too. Like, just
MTSU is a good one as well.
Yeah, MTSU is slightly big, but still.
It's got that same style still.
Yeah, theirs is more like, can't see my hands, but wide, big. Where they need to make it more dome because if you get in an arena like that, the sound will echo and everything too. Like the MTSU one is way too like much going on behind the stands, if that makes sense. But I totally back that, and Chattanooga's the same way. I think their arena's way too big for the amount of people there. And I know they used to do concerts and all kinds of stuff there, which they stopped after COVID for some reason. I don't know why they don't do them anymore now. But yeah, especially with UNCG, like just make a arena that fits your
and I was having some back and forth with people on Twitter about this. Like, I love the Greensboro Coliseum too, man. Like, for the ACC tournament. I don't love it for a regular season UNCG Spartans game. Like, it just looks empty, and like when you can have the ACC tournament there and Duke and Carolina are playing, like, yeah, you're gonna sell it out, but not for your average UNCG game. No hate, but that's just kind of how it is.
Well, that's what makes Asheville so great, is that it's
a perfect size.
The perfect size arena. Like, it would not be nearly as good if you were putting them in Bridgestone Arena in Nashville or like State Farm Arena in Atlanta. Like, it would not be nearly as good because you wouldn't be selling it out. Like, when you sell a small place out, and that's like a real, home court advantage that you're not getting even if it's the same amount of people at both games in a smaller arena. That's why Cameron Indoor for Duke is so awesome. It's because it's packed out every day, and theirs is too small.
True.
Because they have a huge
way
fan
too
base,
small.
But still, the point stands. Like, they sell that thing out, and it gets crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy that McKenzie Arena is bigger than Cameron Indoor? Chat has a bigger arena
Like,
than
for what reason? For why?
Yeah.
Anyway, final kind of game coverage of the day. We'll talk about ETSU down as much as 16 in the second half. Cut it to at least 3 and went kind of cold from there. Kamari Peterson really took over this game in the second half. When they went down 16, he scored or assisted on 20 of the next 29 ETSU points, and then hit a 3 to cut the lead down to 3. And then they missed their next 9 shots, and the lead went back up to 8 or whatever it was with a minute to go. I thought Seymour was great in the first half. They figured him out a little bit in the second half, but it's kind of my same thing with Chattanooga a little bit. The big spot was awful in that game. Bradford, Wheeler, and Hughes went a combined 0 for 4 for 1 point. I mean, that's just not, like, I know you want to have your guard-centric offense or whatever it is, but you have to be able to throw the ball in the post and believe that you can get a bucket at any point in the game. I mean, Bradford was, like, begging for the ball and then would just get, like, absolutely walled up and have nowhere to go and either throw up a shot or just kick it back out. So, I mean, Peterson and Seymour have been awesome, and Boyd has played his role, but we talked about it last episode, like, they're going to need help somewhere else, and it was pretty apparent in that game.
So, yeah, they had only 5 points off the bench, which you could not win games that way, and they shot the ball terribly, which is just, it reminded me of the game last year, like losing 71 to 61, very ETSU-like, and so it's been disappointing with that star power. And Boyd had a bad game, but he's been playing well, only 3 points, so the starters have been doing their jobs. Man, if you get them a little bit of a bench, I think they'd be the best team in the league right now, but they just cannot get any production from back there, and it's concerning for sure. But yeah, shooting 8 for 29 from 3 was very reminiscent of last year, and it's been disappointing for their bench wise because their starters have been amazing.
Bugs
overall.
is like a career 50% 3-point shooter, and he has not been a 50% 3-point shooter this year so far. So I think if the law of averages comes into play and he gets back up kind of in the high 40s wherever you think he can be, that would be big for them because he's usually like 3 for 10 or 4 for 12, whatever he is. But that would be huge for them, just shooting the ball wise and more 3-pointers up. So we'll see if he can kind of start to figure it out.
Yep. Same with Peterson, still shooting 41%, but can he sustain that? Because he only shot 28% last year. So is this just a good start, or can he keep it going? That'll be interesting to see too.
I think he can keep it up. Jack,
I would think so
unable
too.
to catch that one?
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten to really lock in the ETSU yet. Get to watch bits and pieces of it. I am impressed with Peterson, though. I think Peterson looks a lot more polished. Just playing better basketball than he was last year, which is kind of a JUCO thing. Like you got to figure out the Division I game.
Same with PJ Smith.
Seems to be, well, to a point. PJ Smith was D2. PJ Smith has always played good basketball.
Yeah.
He's also figuring out the game. I don't think, not to hate on JUCO basketball because it is a product, but the product of JUCO basketball is a lot more unpolished, typically, as someone who has unfortunately watched a lot of JUCO basketball in the past few years for some reason. But it's definitely an adjustment that I think he is starting to make for sure this year and starting to really, it maybe show some coachability there. He's starting to figure things out. Not figure things out, but becoming a much more efficient, better winning basketball player.
Just a couple of other notable results. Sanford over South Carolina State, 88-81, not streamed. Western Carolina over Bellarmine 86-74, and Mercer over West Georgia 86-72 on Education Day. So that was fun.
Nice.
I don't think any of us were too locked into any of those games. I will defend us a little bit. We all are holding down jobs that pay the bills, so you'll have to forgive us if we don't catch every single SoCon game. So apologies for that. We will now get into our second annual SoCon Fantasy Draft. We think it's time. We think we've seen enough of everybody. But we are going to have Taylor go first, and to decide the rest of the order, Taylor is going to pick who won last year. So.
Okay.
Shouldn't that mean I go first?
Whoa. Whoa, buddy. Taylor, can you see this?
Yeah.
Which team would have won?
Oh, dang, that's hard. They're both. Oh.
You're allowed to speak your thoughts
cookies.
as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Proceeds to not.
Dang. Woolbright and Piggies and Huff is a 6-man.
That ended up being a great pick. I probably would have moved him into the starting lineup, to be honest with you.
Blaze is great.
Langley, Bonham, Foster. Shoot, this is so hard.
Pretty easy.
Brown Jones against Alexis. I think I'm leaning towards Team Matt. I just like what I see on that team better. But it was very close.
All right. Good enough for me. Where did Jack go?
Sorry, Jack. He rage quit.
No.
He rage quit.
But that
classic
Jack,
Celtics
that means
fan.
you get the second pick.
Champs, by the way. I don't know what you're saying about Celtics champs.
Oh, no. All right, so.
That's what we do 19 times.
18.
Taylor will go first.
Oh, we're winning it this year, too, bud.
Oh, boy.
Nah.
I've already marked it down for this year.
Nah. That's a whole nother conversation.
Wait till that tax bill comes. It's going to hurt.
We got bread.
All right, so Taylor is going to go first. Jack, after losing last year, will get the second pick, and I will go third, and we will go.
Debatable, by the way.
He said so. So.
Said it was a hard choice.
But you said me. So,
I did
we will
say
go
you.
Snake. Taylor, you have the first pick. You are on the clock.
I got it. It was just tough. I picked between a few guys, but I got to go Kamari Peterson, averaging 18, 4, and 4 so far, 41% from 3. He just looks like a clear-cut number one guy, and so it was tough. But that will be my number one pick.
Interesting.
Peterson. I know it wasn't easy, but
I think you may have been able to get him a little later, but
Wasn't on my big board. Top pick.
well,
right.
that's okay.
I'm two.
Yep.
I'm two. I'm gonna go for versatility with this squad. I'm gonna take Colin Holloway with my first pick. I want to get a
Good one.
really good wing, can shoot, defend, handle the ball. Everyone's gonna be able to do everything on this squad. So, Colin Holloway, lock it
kind
in.
of like
Dun, 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 dun.
you really are a Celtics fan. We're gonna switch everything.
It wins titles, buddy.
All right. Well, I have back-to-back picks here, so I'm gonna go with Corey Tripp with my first pick, and then I'm gonna steal one of Jack's guys from last year. Give me Jaden Seymour with my next pick.
Interesting.
Jack, you're back on the clock.
Man, a few people I want. I'm trying to.
Jack is looking at the top points per game scores, by the way.
Well, I literally have pictures of the SoCon teams up, and I'm thinking, who do I want?
That's that video of LeBron where he's like naming tight ends and he's looking at the screen next to him.
Yeah, he's looking at it on the screen.
Right
Yeah.
Man, I don't really know. This is harder than I thought it was going to be. I mean, give me Trey Bonham,
Ooh,
preseason player of the year,
why do you sound upset about
Kind of.
it?
because it goes against
Give
what
me
I
Trey.
just said. That's what I just said was I wanted like switchable everything, but Bonham is physical and a good defender. He just won't be switching on to the big anytime soon. But yeah, give me Bonham.
Taylor, you get back to back here.
I like my team. Oh, shoot. Okay. Give me PJ Smith. I want to be guard heavy.
That's my next pick.
And who
I,
do I want
didn't
now?
think
I gotta
Bonham
get
was
some
making it
size.
past Taylor.
No, he was not. It was
PJ
not.
Smith would. I'm very
No,
surprised you went PJ Smith.
Probably not. Let's see. I need a forward.
First pick of the third round.
No pressure. Let's see. Dang. I can't get another guard though. I need some size.
Clock's ticking.
Give me Jaden Brownell. It's a solid forward.
Interesting.
I like that.
I like what I've seen from him this year.
I do too. Jack?
Definitely messes with me a little bit. I'll take Rylan Jones.
All right. Let's see. Corey Tripp's my one. Love that. You know what, Jack? I'm actually just taking your entire idea. Give me Brody Fox. Military love. So now I've got Tripp, Seymour, Tripp, Brody Fox, and Jaden Seymour. And then let me lock down my guy Charles Johnston inside as my 5. Jack, back to you with your 4th pick.
Bash Whelan.
Didn't think he was
Get
making
some
it past
positional
you.
size. I just don't see anybody else I want that bad.
He wouldn't have made it past me.
I know who you're going with, Taylor.
Do you? I'm picking. Yep, we're going with Jalen Breath.
I was so wrong. Holy shit. Okay.
What a pick.
Yeah, what a pick. You get another one.
I don't know why. I just have a feeling he'll do really well come conference play.
You get.
I had a few double doubles. Anyway, sorry. Do I actually want to make that pick?
By the way, we're doing a 6th man, so
Oh,
Okay,
I don't know
fair.
if that throws anybody off.
You know what? I'm going to go with my gut here, since I was very high on this player from the beginning. Matt, I think you know. Give me Augustinus.
Get utilus.
Yep. I got to stay my
I
ground.
respect it.
All right, so this is 6.
All right, so it's me now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I take my 6 man now?
If you want. If you really want to.
All right, who do y'all got?
Taylor has
Uh,
Kimari Peterson, PJ Smith,
Brownell.
Jaden Brownell, and Kajudelis, and I have
And Jalen Breath.
Jalen Breath. I have Corey Tripp, Jaden Seymour, Brody Fox, and Charles Johnston.
All right, yeah, lock me in a 6 man. This is ridiculous. Give me Honor Huff. I'm team Chattanooga on accident, but
Remember,
guys, just got me.
Dang.
remember like 2K17 or whatever
That's crazy.
when it was Orange Justice. You actually get the
Yes.
get the benefit of having them
really-
together. Their attributes are actually
My team
boosted.
has 3 Chattanooga players. I'm not trying to do that, I promise.
And you need them to do well.
All right.
Just not. I guess I could. Yeah, but no.
So Honor Huff to J Gold. I am gonna go. So this is my 5th and 6th picks here. This is it. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me Trey Fort. And as my 6th man, I will take. Give me Donovan Atwell. You could always use a 50% 3-point shooter on the squad. Jack, your last pick.
I guess I got to get a big.
I would have to.
Considering I don't have Holloway and Whelan are both versatile.
Garrett Heen
But-
sitting there.
What a plot twist if Jack got him.
So here's where I'm at. I could, totally go ceiling, small ball, everyone can play, and then go Frank Champion.
And then you'd
I
have
think Frank
4
Champion would play 5,
Chattanooga
and then
guys.
I could be. You might as well put a Mox logo on my team. Or I could go back up what I was saying earlier and go with Cooper Bowser. But I gotta be honest, I think. Let me pull up their stats. Or let me pull up Bowser's stats.
Oh yeah, take your time.
Can I take 2? Um,
I'll let you give out a 10-day
I'm gonna
if
get
you want.
killed for. I'm gonna get killed for it. I'm taking Champion. I think Bowser's the pick if I'm a big baby and I don't want the backlash on social media. But I think Champion is a great player. I think Champion's got potential to be really good, and I promise I'm not trying to be the big Chattanooga homer. I'm just taking best player available.
If you think about it, it's
And-
2 guys, or it's the preseason player of the year, another preseason all-league guy, the guy who's actually been their best player all year, and the guy that is expected to be incredible for them. So they just happen to all play on the same
I just need
team.
a big. I would take some more. I'm realizing as I'm doing this, the big position's kind of weak in this.
I know, I was struggling to find a big.
Like I wanted Brownell or Johnston was my coming into this, and y'all took them, and I don't really love a lot of the bigs in this
Yeah.
league.
What about no Allensbach?
I did think about Allensbach, but
I'm
he's
probably taking Bowser.
You know-
I'm taking a big.
Actually, scratch champ. No,
Back.
I think I'm gonna buy into because I really thought about Allensbach too. I'm gonna buy into just being the biggest Chattanooga homer on the planet for this episode. I guess. Let's do it.
He's begging for merch, Chattanooga. If you guys are listening.
It's got plenty of it.
Taylor,
I like having forward depth, and is this my
your
sixth
last
pick?
You get one, and then we're done.
All right. I like having forward depth, and I've liked what I've seen from this guy all year, except for last game as Karen Boyd. Now he will be my sixth man. Of course, my pen stopped working.
Okay. Going over the teams.
This is so ridiculous.
Going over the...
I only have Chattanooga and Sanford, don't I? I've only got 2 rosters.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go over the teams one more time. I also will tweet a graphic later when I get a chance. Team Taylor goes as follows. Kimari Peterson, PJ Smith, Jaden Brownell, Kijudelis, Jalen Breath, and Karan Boyd. Team Jack.
It's a good team right there.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Taylor, you lost this draft.
You don't know that.
Team Jack, I know.
Wait, come conference play.
Sure,
Trust.
man, whatever you say.
Trust.
I just know Jack and I can't lose this year because you're going to lose. Team Jack. In no particular order. Colin Holloway, Trey Bonham, Bash Wheeland, Honor Huff, Rylan Jones, and Frank Champion. Chattanooga.
Team Chattanooga.
Team Chattanooga.
Chattanooga. Sanford Chattanooga.
And Team Matt, Corey Tripp, Jaden Seymour, Brody Fox, Charles Johnson, Trey Fort, and Donovan Atwell. You're such a loser. Just thumb down fart noise there.
You better hope the Mocs do well.
Such a Chattanooga fan.
Yeah, they're not going to win a game the rest of the year after that.
All right. So again, I'll tweet a graphic later. We will be looking for input on Twitter as to who wins.
I'm about to make bot accounts type my team.
No, Elon's coming after the bot accounts. They won't let you.
True.
I lost 60 followers. Wild.
Lost over 100.
Yeah. But yeah,
Hurts.
y'all keep a lookout for that on Twitter. Let us know who you think has the best squad. And that is it for this week of 2-Bit SoCon. We appreciate everybody listening. Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, all the good stuff. And we will see you guys next week.